This episode is brought to you by ProForce Athletics, the home of unique and custom sports tees serving athletes, teams, organizations, and fundraising campaigns. To learn more, visit ProForceAthletics.com. The only place that success comes before work is in the dictionary. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, heroes and villains. I'm your host, Deshaun Fauntleroy. I know your time is precious, so we're going to get right into today's show. In today's show, we're going to be discussing secrets to success. And what I've often found is that when you're trying to be successful, or when you look at the people that are successful, you'll often find that they're highly ambitious. They're highly motivated. They have a purpose. And they understand their why. Now, you can use any of these in your life. You can look at people that are successful right now in your field, in your sport, in your career, or in your industry. And you'll always find that people at the top are ambitious, highly ambitious. They're highly motivated. They're self-starters. They have a purpose. More importantly, they have a why. There's a why they do things. You have to have these things to be successful. All people that are successful, I will argue, have some type of, they all have these similarities or personality traits that synergize. And you often find people that they exhibit all these. They're ambitious, they're highly motivated, they have a purpose, they have a why, and still they figure out a way to fail or not succeed at what they do. So in this episode, I want to challenge you. You have your why. You have an ambition. But what's stopping you? I'm going to challenge you to start reading about what it is that you want to be better at. Reading about the things you want to accomplish. Quit talking about it. Quit telling everybody about it. You have the goals. You're motivated. I understand that. But now it's time to take it a step further. I want you to go find some books from your local library. I want you to go to that local bookstore. I want you to buy some books off Amazon. Do some deeper research into your sport. Do some deeper research into your career. Do some deeper research into your entrepreneurial objectives. You have to read. And what I found in this society, and you all know this, is we're beginning to read less and less. I'll also give you an alternative. I want you to read. I'm old school like that, but I also enjoy listening to audio books. So you have a choice. You can go hard copy, but you can also get the audio books. And what I really appreciate about audio books is you can listen to them while you're in transit, in the car, public transportation, riding as a passenger. That is the beauty of audio books, because you can always be learning on your downtime. So to wrap this first part up, one of the top secrets to success is that you have to have some type of ambition. You have to have a motivation, something that drives you. There has to be a purpose behind what you're achieving or trying to achieve. And with that drive, with that purpose, there's always a why you do something. So as I was saying before, you can have this first part covered, but then reach stumbling blocks because you don't have a clarity. You're not clear on how you're going to get there. You're not clear on how you're going to reach that goal. You're not clear on how you're going to become the best in your sport, in your industry, or in your career. And that clarity or vision, as I like to say, you have to have a vision. You have to be clear. And the hardest thing for me, and like a lot of people, see, I have these issues too, is to take time to reflect, to just sit down and think. You know, some authors say that this is one of the hardest things for human beings to do. Is to just sit down and take time to think without being distracted. So I want to help you find that vision today. And you've heard me talk about this in prior episodes, such as Acres of Diamonds, is you have to have hindsight. And I've given you this definition before. I'll give it to you again today. The definition of hindsight is understanding of a situation or event only after it has happened or developed. So the key word here is happen. That means it's understanding something that has happened in the past. You have to take time to reflect on people, places, things, events, circumstances of the past. That's hindsight. I need you to reflect. Take 10 minutes to reflect on a success. So then you can repeat that. Take 10 or 15 minutes today to take 10 or 15 minutes today to reflect on a past failure so it doesn't happen again. Insight, the capacity to gain an accurate and deep intuitive understanding of a person or a thing. So the key word is intuit or intuition. And what I want to impress upon you today is that if you reflect long enough, it will have an impact on your intuition as to how to make the best decision in space and time. So you have to reflect, and that reflection is going to impact your intuition. So that's like you just automatically know. Somebody can ask you a question about something that you've been through in the past. It could be a game. It could be an experience in a classroom. It could be exams that you've taken. It could be you going on job interviews. And because you've had time to reflect on your successes as well as your failures, you have an intuitive understanding to where you can give somebody information from prior experience. And as you guessed it, foresight, the ability to predict or the action of predicting what will happen or be needed in the future. So I want to bring this all together in terms of clarity and vision. You have hindsight, insight, and foresight. And basically, foresight is being able to see into the future. But the only way you can get there is you have to reflect. Once you're able to reflect, you'll be able to intuit. And then from there, you'll be able to predict. So when I'm talking about clarity and vision, when we break this down to a molecular level, we're just talking about reflect, intuit, and predict. Secrets to success. So ambition, motivation, purpose, finding your why, that's part one of this. We just discussed clarity and vision, hindsight, insight, and foresight. Now, this third piece I want to discuss with you today is expectation or expectancy. Look at some of the great teams. It's basketball season right now. Not a big basketball fan, but I can appreciate Steph Curry. Every time he steps on the court, he expects to win. Every time LeBron steps on the court, he expects to win. Every time the University of Alabama hit that field, they expect to win. And I can promise you, every high school team that's in the top 10 in your state, they expect to win. But you got to think about this. There's something that drives them. There's something that gives them ambition. They create a vision. So out of that vision becomes expectancy. Now, this can all only happen when you do the work. So you've heard me discuss this before. You have to take effective action. And what I want to impress upon you today around effective action is it's easy to do the menial basic work. But what I want you to think about today is what are the must-haves that you have to do? Because that's effective action. You have to do the things that are difficult. You have to do the things that are going to take time. What are the must-haves? Because often people will create that to-do list and they'll do all the easy shit first. And they'll leave the difficult or demanding tasks for the next day. And you know what generally happens? It gets put off. And then you're looking at a must-have that could have been completed 6 months ago. You must have had a conversation with your professor to get out of that C and to raise your level or to raise your grade level to a B or an A minus. But you didn't have that must-have conversation to ask that instructor or that professor, what is it going to take to bring this C up to a B plus or an A minus? That's what I'm talking about. Effective action. You have to do the must do's. You have to have the tough conversations. You have to work on your weaknesses. We are all blessed with certain strengths. That's cool and dandy. You want to keep those strengths refined, but it's also conquering weaknesses or getting over our fears that take us to the next level. And what you have to do is do the things that you don't want to do. So it's the must-haves. And I'll be honest with you, this last part that I'm going to discuss with you today is that you have to stop fucking complaining. If you get benched, go through the steps that I've just discussed. If you get cut, don't complain about it. Go through the steps that I just discussed. If you get fired, quit bitching about it. Quit complaining about it. Go through the steps that I just discussed. Because sometimes when you get cut, you get fired, you fail an exam, it can actually be a good thing if you take the appropriate steps. And again, what I want to impress upon you today is to look at things from a positive mental attitude. Quit complaining about what you don't have. I wish I had this, if only I had that. What I want you to do right now is make a list of all the things that you're grateful for. So we have to have gratitude. Be thankful for what you have. Be thankful for your mom and dad. Be thankful for the coaches that you have. Find something good about them that you can say thank you for once. Tell them how much you appreciate them. Find the one thing that you appreciate. So you got to be grateful. You got to quit fucking complaining about what you don't have. Quit wishing for things and be grateful for what you do have. Be thankful. I want you to make a list of all the things that you have, all the people that are in your life, and write those words down. I am grateful for. I am grateful to have. I am grateful for this. I am grateful for that. It could be the simplest things or it could be the most complex things. But you all have something that you can be grateful for. We all have something that we can be grateful for. So I want you to remember, create a clear mental picture of the things that you want, desire, or need. I want to leave you with a few things is how to embrace the lessons of reflective thinking. The first thing I want you to do is set aside time for reflection. 2, remove yourself from distractions. 3, regularly renew your journal or calendar. 4, learn how to ask the right questions. 5, cement your learning through action. So think about the things you want, do your research, read your books, and then take action. One of my favorite books is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. He authored this book in 1912. And to say the least, Rhonda Byrne, who created The Secret, used a significant amount, or I would say his material inspired her to create the movie or documentary, The Secret. But he discusses in his material the first principle. The first principle is that there is a thinking stuff from which all things are made. So that means nothing happens. Everything that you see in life, it began with a thought. Number 2, a thought produces the thing that it is imaged by the thought. Number 3, he goes on to explain that man can form things in his thought and can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. This is the first principle in the science of getting rich, or you could say the science of getting the things that you want or desire out of life. I'll go over this one more time. Wallace D. Wattles explains this in his book, The Science of Getting Rich. There's a thinking stuff from which all things are made. A thought produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. Man can form things in his thought and can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. I really want y'all to meditate on these principles. Think about what we've discussed today. You have to have an ambition, a motivation, a purpose, or why. Then you have to buy books based on what you want to do. Find your vision. Use those three forms of vision: hindsight, insight, and foresight. You have to expect that you're going to win. You have to expect that you're going to get the job. You have to expect that you're going to be the starter. You have to expect that you're going to be the best. But to do that, you have to do the hard things. You have to take effective action. You have to be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for the people that you have in your life. Be grateful for the shoes that you're wearing. Be grateful for the clothes that you already have. Be grateful for the school that you're already at. Because shit could always be worse.